Hello, so I'm back for another video. My name is Jalen and I'm the Bookish Geek. I got my cup of tea here. So I thought I would do the mid-year book freakout tag. I know it's way past mid-year now. It's not like as if there's rules or regulations against, filming past mid-year. If not, you can always just report me to the Booktube police. I still want to do my unpopular opinions book tag, but I'm thinking of waiting until I get to the States and then maybe roping my mum into doing it with me because she is a massive reader. I feel like it would be a really fun thing to do. So I've got all my questions down and I've got my stack of books. So let's just get right into it. Okay, number one. Best book you've read so far in 2018. Okay, so this was a hard one for me because I've read so many great books so far this year, and how do you just pick one? How? So I just thought I'd go for Jade City by Fonda Lee because it's one that I've been talking about quite a bit and it's one that I keep recommending to people, and if you haven't read it you should definitely read it, so go for it. So number two is the best sequel you've read so far in 2018. I feel that should go to The Lost World by Michael Crichton, which is of course a sequel to Jurassic Park. I talked about this in my wrap up. This was hugely enjoyable and just so much better than the Lost World film. I won't say anything more about it, but do recommend both books. In fact, I think this is the only sequel that I've read so far this year, so it's not up against stiff competition, but still it is a really good sequel, so I do suggest it. Number three is new release that you haven't read yet but you want to. For that I chose Scythe by Neil Shusterman. So the concept of this book is really intriguing, so I'm hoping to start reading it soon, maybe. Number four, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't really pay much attention to what's coming out book-wise because I just don't. I'm not very good with that sort of thing. But I was looking through what was coming out soon, and I noticed that there was a new book coming out by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. Completely butchered that. He wrote Shadow of the Wind, which is an amazing book. If you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. It's been a couple of years since I've read it myself, so it's probably one that I want to reread again soon. I haven't actually read any of his other books. I know he's got quite a few, so I'm going to say that. Number five, biggest disappointment. I've had a couple of disappointing reads so far this year, but I think the biggest disappointment and also the worst book was In a Dark Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. It wasn't very good. On the blurb it talked about how it was really creepy and there was this whole mystery and all that sort of thing. I didn't find it creepy whatsoever. I didn't like any of the main characters. I didn't like the twist at the end and all the reasoning behind it. I didn't like any of the motivations behind any of the characters. It didn't make any sense to me. I see a lot of people raving about it and I honestly do not get it. I was just expecting more considering all the hype around it. Number six, biggest surprise. So for this I'm going to go for Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. I didn't really know a lot about this going into it, and how I pictured it to be was this sweeping romance novel, and it completely isn't that. Every character is absolutely despicable in it, and I just loved it. And I was thinking about this book for probably weeks after I read it. I think that's usually the sign of a good book. Question 7, favourite new author. So for this I'm going to have to go for Philip K. Dick. I read this one a couple of months ago now. This was another one I was thinking about for weeks after I read it. It completely blew me away. It wasn't what I was expecting. There's not enough words to say how I felt about this book and about his writing. Luckily my mum bought me a couple more of his books for my birthday, so I've got them ready to go, but I'm kind of putting off reading them because I don't want to get through them too quickly. But I'm just really pleased that I discovered Philip K. Dick. Question 8, newest fictional crush. I don't really get crushes on fictional characters. I didn't want to not give an answer, so I thought I'd go for Crowley from Good Omens. He's quite funny and mischievous, and he's a demon and all that sort of thing. I mean, I love this book generally, so it's definitely worth checking out. And with the TV show coming out soon with David Tennant, Michael Sheen, it's going to be amazing. I mean, talk about perfect casting. Check it out if you haven't done already. I mean, it's Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, so you can't go wrong with either of those two really, I don't think. Number 9, your newest favourite character. So for this, I think I'm going to go for Amari from The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. She was definitely my favourite character in this book, and I just love her. I think she's great. She shows so much growth in this. She's just so relatable, and I think it's pretty hard not to love her in this, to be honest. I just thought I'd point out as well that my lighting has gone really terrible again. I think I can see the colour keeps changing. Unfortunately, I live in England, and in England, the sun only comes out about 3 times a year. Number 10, a book that made you cry. So for this, I have The Guest Cat by Takashi Harade. I think I got that right. Yeah, this made me cry. So it's just about this couple that move into this house, and this cat just starts coming in. It's just about how something so small can have such a huge impact almost on somebody's life, and how it affects their relationship. For such a simple plot, it did have a pretty big impact, I think. But this would be perfect for any cat lover. Number 11, a book that made you happy. So for this, I chose The Panther in My Kitchen by Brian Blessed. My partner and I, we both love Brian Blessed, and I read Absolute Pandemonium late last year, which is a bit of an autobiography. Brian Blessed is best known for being an actor. He was in Flash Gordon, he was in Star Wars, does a lot of voice work, and he's just also just a really funny, genuine man. He's done all sorts of crazy things in his lifetime. Chances are pretty much anything that you could think of he's probably done. Like in this, he talks about the time that he was jogging through a park and a woman was heavily pregnant and her waters broke and he delivered her baby. I mean, it's just crazy. He also absolutely loves animals, so this is just all about all the different animals that he used to take care of, all the animals that he used to take in, and loads of little stories about that. This book is just so funny, like he is. I would suggest this to anybody who just wants a laugh, or anybody who loves animals, because he just restored my faith in humanity massively. Number 12, favourite book to film adaptation you've seen this year? I haven't really seen many. We watched Ready Player One, but I haven't read the book, and that was okay, but I feel as if the book would be better. I watched Murder on the Orient Express, the Kenneth Branagh one. I didn't think it was that great compared to the book, so it's kind of a difficult one. The one I watched most recently would probably be Sense and Sensibility, with Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Hugh Grant and Kate Winslet, because I read that fairly recently and I watched the film after I read the book. And whilst there are a few like discrepancies here and there, mostly it's pretty accurate to the book, so I did really enjoy it. Okay, number 13, favourite video you have filmed so far this year. So obviously this is only my 4th video, so I haven't got a lot to choose from. Well, the first one is not great, the second one is okay, and the third one is better. So I'm going to go for the third one, which was my August wrap up. It's a bit more cohesive compared to my other two, so I'm gonna say that. Number 14, most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. So for this one, I am going to bring up somebody that I've already mentioned, and I'm going to say this one, which is Ubik by Philip K. Dick. I've already read this one. This was really good as well, and the cover is just so funky. It's a really nice looking book, so that's going to be my pick. Finally, number 15, which books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I have 4 books to begin with that I have started and then just put down and haven't picked up again. So these are sort of my top priority to actually finish. So the first one I have is Adventures of a Young Naturalist by David Attenborough. Next I have A History of Britain in 21 Women by Janie Murray. Next I have The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett. I read The Colour of Magic 2 months ago. I'm trying to get into the Discworld series. I've heard from a couple of people that the first couple of books are not great. I'm just sort of reading a bit at a time, but I really do want to finish. I want to get this finished by the end of this month, ideally, so I can pick up the next book. But I don't know why, I just haven't been in the mood to pick it up. So, we'll see. And another one that I've started is The Story of Beatrix Potter. Not really a conventional book, a lot of pictures and, you know, stuff like that in it. I just saw it on the Book People for, I think it was about £3 or £4, and I used to love Beatrix Potter when I was little, so I figured it was worth buying just to learn a bit more. I only started this a couple of weeks ago, so I should definitely have this one finished. But again, I just haven't been in the mood to finish it, so hopefully this will be another one that gets finished. So I've got a couple more books here that I want to read before the end of the year. I mean, I've got piles of books everywhere, that I need to read. But for me, these are sort of priority or ones that I definitely just want to get to pretty soon. So the first one is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. I'm waiting until winter time to start this because I think it'll be the perfect time. Next is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. I've had this on my shelf for years and years and years, and I need to read it, so this needs to get read. Next I have David Bowie, A Life by Dylan Jones. This book is huge. This was £20 in Waterstones and I picked it up from the book people for £6. And this is one I'm probably going to dip in and out of, but I just want to at least get it started because it's huge. It's huge. I also have to say, look at that orange. Sometimes it's just the simple things, isn't it? I can't put it back now. And finally, I have Rune Marks by Joanne M. Harris. I bought this when I bought The Handmaid's Tale about 1.5 years ago, and I just haven't picked it up to read it. I don't know why, because it's got Norse mythology in it, it's got magic in it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I need to read it. So that's the end of the tag. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see more of my ramblings, feel free to subscribe. I shall see you soon. Bye.